Okay, we are live.
Hi.
Good evening, and to everyone. My name is Sandra Jennings, and this is Passion Speak, where we give those with a passion a platform to speak. I'm really excited about my guest this evening because I'm a curly girl, and she is the founder and CEO of Curly Sister Inc. And she's going to give us some tips and tell us all about all that exciting stuff that is going on in her world. Welcome, Phoebe Ash. Thank you
Thank
for being with me, Phoebe.
and thanks for having me. Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
I appreciate you. So I have to give a little disclaimer. Phoebe is now currently in Germany. And
Mhm.
that means there's a lot of hours between us. So this session is not being broadcast live. It is recorded, pre-recorded. And we had to do it that way because she has a family and I have a life, and our calendars just there's like what 6 hours difference
6 hours difference from
between
East Coast time.
Eastern Standard and Germany. Yeah, we had to
Mhm.
do it this way. So which is kind of cool. So if we hit the wrong button, just excuse us a little bit. Tell I'm a little nervous about that. But anyway, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about Phoebe before she starts. And by all means, everybody knows that I know that you do not have to have advanced degrees in your world in order to follow your passion or to make it successful or to just do it on a micro level. But Phoebe, I said that to say Phoebe has an engineering degree from HBCU. I think it's Tuskegee. What is it? Tuskegee College or Institute?
Tuskegee University.
University. Okay.
Mhm.
And you have an executive MBA from a university in Berlin.
Yes, ESMT Berlin. It's European School of Management and Technology. I got my executive MBA. And from Tuskegee, I'm actually not an engineer in a degree. I had a political science degree. Long story, but passion led me to computer science and working in software engineering. And I started at Microsoft right out of college
And
as
you
a
have
software
a
engineer.
good almost 20 years experience
Yes.
around Microsoft, right?
I worked at Microsoft for 19 years and it was very crazy and a lot of fun. It was a quite a wonderful experience and led me really on the path of just being a worldly person and expressing my passion for the things that I love, which has always been engineering. I just didn't know that when I was in college. I don't know if anybody ever really does, but
Yeah, who
I
does?
had, yeah, I just had cool jobs and in school, and they led me down this path. And then I realized I was like, this seems like I really love what I'm doing. Like I worked in the computer lab and I did web development
Hmm.
to get money and to earn money in school. And I was like, this seems more fun than what I'm doing in class. So,
Yeah. So you're
yeah.
originally from Los Angeles, California, went to school in back on the East Coast, probably more in the South,
Deep
and
South,
then
yes.
working back on the West Coast,
Hmm.
got married and did all that, and then you and your family moved to Germany to pursue your husband with Microsoft. He's also with Microsoft, and
Hmm.
you to go to get your executive MBA, and we're proud of you.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I
Thank
had
you.
to say all that because it lends a little bit of foundation for what you are currently doing with Curly Sister. So
Mhm.
I think I'm going to show this little clip, and I think it's going to explain a little bit about the foundation of Curly Sister. I'm really excited about your project, to be honest. So I'm going to show it. It's about a 2 minute clip, and hopefully that will explain just some of the things that you're later going to talk about. Okay.
Imagine a world where you're a person with straight hair. You go to a salon, and the salon tells you, in order for me to cut your hair and to style it, I have to make it curly because they don't know how to do your hair straight. So they make your hair curly. They cut it, it looks amazing. You're like, oh, I look great. And then you go home, you look at what your hair looks like, and it looks fabulous. But maybe a day later, you need to wash it. You wash it, and it looks terrible. And you have no clue what happened. Then you realize that they didn't cut your hair for the right texture. And this is actually what it's like for a person with curly hair. It's quite crazy that we have to go to a salon and to get your hair cut or trimmed, people will tell you you have to straighten it, and that's the only option. I don't think that's the right world for people with curly or wavy hair.
Okay. So that is the introduction. So what is Curly Sister, and where did you get that passion from? And earlier you were talking about your school age experience. Maybe you could start with that, because that just led right into it.
Sure. So, I mean, I've always had curly hair my entire life, of course, but I didn't know it. I just knew that my hair had some sort of kink or curl, but it couldn't be maintained. It wasn't really the type of hair that I could get in the shower and wash it and put something like conditioner or gel and it'd be okay. At least not what I understood at the time, because there weren't products that existed when I was younger. So I only pressed my hair. But it wasn't until I started to have kids. When I had my first child, I just realized I couldn't spend every 2 weeks in a salon. And I did that. That was one of my things when I started working and I had a good job and I was like, oh, I can go get my hair done every 2 weeks. This will be great. However, I just realized I couldn't do that once I had a son, or at least a child to take care of, because I was already gone 50, 60 hours during the week, because we work crazy hours in what I did. And then I'd spend 5 hours in a salon on a Saturday. So how much time did I spend with my child? It was just not going to happen. That wasn't healthy and it wasn't wise for me at that point in my life. And I realized there has to be a better way. And at that point, this is around 2010 is when I had my son. And I just thought, I was like, there has to be something different. And I saw the curly movement had started around that time. It was right around then that it was starting to gain a lot of momentum. And I saw different people on social media and I was like, oh my God, this seems amazing. However, it was an ordeal to find someone who could actually do my hair. I tried to work with my stylist and she was amazing. She's a celebrity stylist, but she didn't really understand curly hair, and not to her fault. She's a good stylist, but they're not taught that. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I just started to go through the motions of figuring out, how could I actually wear my hair curly? Are there products? What do I need to do? And it was really the first time I found a stylist. I went home to Los Angeles for the holidays and I found that there was a stylist that could cut my hair. I searched and I searched and I found one. And I talked to her and she said, yeah, I can give you a curly cut. She showed me pictures of people that she's already done. It looked really good. I'm like, this is amazing. So I went to her and she gave me my first curly cut and my mind was blown. Like, the experience was the best experience I ever had, because she had this room kind of that was away. So at the time, it was very, different. And people hadn't seen hair like mine, like black hair, any sort of hair that was full and big. And my hair was long and full. And people would stare. So she, at the time, created a back room in the salon that she was working at so she could pull the clients that had curly hair away and took you into a more of a private space so you could feel good about yourself and look in the mirror and see things and see the experience. And she showed me, like, here's how you apply product. But I realized then, I was like, not everybody gets this. Not many people have this experience. And I got that and I was like, oh my God, this is great. But then I went through years of dealing with this, working in corporate and dealing with having this kind of hair and coming, and dealing with all sorts of things, people making inappropriate comments, people saying, oh, your hair is really big, or, and just for me, it helped me to develop a thick skin and to have a comeback also to say, no, I can make it actually bigger, but it's not that big. It can get much bigger.
Yeah, it can get bigger.
Tomorrow I'll come and it'll be bigger. But you learn to develop that thick skin and to say, it's not anything wrong with me. They just don't understand. They don't understand that this was natural because society didn't really allow for people to wear their hair in this state. And I don't care what race you are. Of course, it's more prominent for people of Pan-African descent, but it's not uncommon to other races where they feel ashamed to wear their hair curly. And I just realized, especially once I moved, I knew I wanted to make a career change when we moved to Europe. And I wanted to do something in the curly hair space because I felt there was a huge need. There was a lack of education and understanding, but there were so many. The market is so saturated in the United States with products, which is good. And I do think there's still some growth that needs to happen in products, but I think the biggest growth really needs to be in self-education for people who have textured hair, and then also for stylists who don't know or weren't taught in beauty school on how to maintain curly hair. And because you probably spend, in most beauty schools, they spend about 8 hours on textured hair. And really the focus is on straightening it.
Right.
And I believe that's where the problem started. So that's the crux and the reason why I created Curly Sister is to educate stylists. And then during the pandemic, I realized that all of these people are sitting at home who are used to going to the salon, who live that life that I used to live, and they can't do their hair. They can do nothing. Some people didn't know how to even handle their hair if it wasn't straightened. They couldn't braid it. They couldn't do anything. So what do? And this is why I created the consultations so people could consult with a master stylist. I have 3 currently that are working with Curly Sister, and they will do a video consultation in your home, like we're talking today, and they'll help you and walk you through being able to maintain your hair. Our clients generally come with their hair wet and washed. We give them a pre-list of products they should purchase beforehand and how to come onto the call. And then you learn how to style your hair on the phone with a master stylist, which is pretty awesome. And someone who can tell you, no, don't do this, do this. Apply it, work a little more product into your hand, work a little bit more, and then work it or emulsify it or do something a little bit different than what you might think is the right thing to do. And generally, like one of the things we see is people use too much product and they don't use enough water. So it's little tips and tricks to teach you how to get over the hump to say, I can actually do my hair at home and I can do this. Mm-hmm. But, and then you go to the salon when you need to, like for trims and for color or whatsoever, unless that's something you want to do at home too. But you could also do that where you can maintain and live in and out of the salon, which is quite difficult,
So I have that's not all you do at Curly Sister. That's not all. I mean, it's got many different legs. And one of the legs that I like about it is that you will help me find, like you have the largest, correct me if I'm, how should I be saying this? You have the largest database of what, where?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I have the largest database of textured hairstylists in the world. So it's stylists that are either have proven that they can do curly hair, where they have evidence either on Google reviews or on Instagram, and they have tons of photos, or Facebook. And also they're certified. Some are certified by various, I call them boutique beauty houses. They are other services that saw a need, like Diva Curl or Huidad or Cut It Kinky, or these various other beauty houses that saw that there was a gap in the market and they needed to help to train stylists in the art of cutting curly hair. Some focus just on certain types of curls. There's Rizzo curls. There are so many others that really have helped people to hone in their skills and focus just on being able to do textured hair. And because each of these are on their own mission, I wanted to marry them all to say this is all public knowledge. But the problem is people wouldn't know that. Like, did you know about all of these different beauty services or beauty houses that will come together and build these services to teach a stylist how to do curly hair? And I don't know if you knew about that,
No.
but a lot of people that I speak to didn't know about that. Like, this is one of the things that I first started talking to people about. And I said, well, maybe you could find a stylist that can cut diva curl. And some people would say, oh, I tried diva curl, I didn't really like it. And then I'd have to say, oh, go look on Cut It Kinky, because maybe you need somebody who can focus more on tighter curl structures and who has a bit more in-depth knowledge. Then you
Yeah.
can look there. So what I've done is explained all of these certifiers. There's only 11 currently in the world. There are other stylists that help to train that train people individually. So we're starting to write those and document those people also. But currently, there's 11 in the world.
Okay.
In the
In
world.
the world, that's kind of huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go and search for. I have your website up here, curlysister.com.
Mhm.
And I'm going to show your site, and I want to put in my zip code or something close to me and see if there's a stylist that I can find. So it says, let's find you a stylist. So does it want my city, or can I do my zip code?
You can do a zip code, or you can do Detroit, or you can do Grand Rapids.
Let's do Detroit. See what, oh, there's Detroit, Michigan, USA. Let's see what it gives me. So far I found 7 stylists in this area, and here they are. And so there's one in Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
Wait a minute, how do I get to the rest of them?
Let's zoom out, and you can look in the video too. If you zoom a
Oh
little bit,
Lord, I don't know how.
you see the radius? Yes, there. That'll help you, and you can change your radius to more than 10 miles.
Okay.
Urban sprawl. So
Okay.
Detroit really
Okay.
spreads out, and
The
you see
world
there's
is
a
a pretty,
slider.
the world is a pretty big place.
It is. So now you can zoom out on the map, and you see there's 26 stylists now.
Okay.
This
And
is
I
search.
know there are more. Tell me, how did you get the stylist into your database? Is that your Microsoft skills in action?
Well, yes. It's more. I've used scanners. I've used either. I've gone through the various sites and downloaded all of their stylists. I have used various other services where you can crawl, like either Instagram or whatsoever, to find all of these. There's so many different tools I had to use to be able to find them, because sometimes people don't really understand how to advertise for themselves.
Okay.
And I know that people are looking for these stylists. I can say, I live in Berlin right now. I can tell you right now, there's several curly girl forums who are looking for stylists, and they have no clue. Occasionally, I'd say 2 to 3 times a week, can someone show me where a stylist is for blah? Hey, I need a stylist to do my hair. And it's always the same question over and over again. And it's the same when I talk to people too. I don't know any stylists in my area. If somebody tells me that in New York, I would say you're crazy, because there are 1,000
I
in New York.
want to search for New York. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go here real quick, and let's see, how can I do this? Go back. Okay. I'm gonna do a New York search. New York, hello. I just want to see what's gonna come
Yeah.
up.
Or Los Angeles. The super large cities are pretty saturated.
Okay. But the need is there.
The need is there. So what the research is saying right now is that in the United States, it's about a 50% market of people that have textured hair. And some people don't understand what textured hair means. It doesn't just mean afro hair. I live in Europe, so that is a common term that people will say afro hair. It is not just people of Pan-African descent hair. If your hair is frizzy, it's probably curly. It's probably wavy. And what stats and figures are starting to show is that there's about 65 to 75% of women only worldwide have textured hair. And that goes from wavy, curly, or tightly curled, coily hair. So, and they all fall within the same range. But since people now are blow drying their hair to the hilt, or they're flat ironing all the time, they don't understand that they have wavy hair. And they're doing things that are causing problems. Like they're wondering why am I having so much breakage? Well, because you're doing things that are harming your hair and you don't realize that you're doing that all the time. So how do you figure that out? And like what I'm doing here is trying to marry a lot of ideas. And the idea is that there are already some people doing some amazing things in this space, but I'm trying to bring it all together to say, we've got all these amazing stylists in the world who can do some pretty cool things. But what if they knew how to also cut textured hair? What does that mean?
Right.
Now that we
Right.
have, you can start to bridge this huge gap to make people feel good about themselves, not always have to alter themselves to be in a presentable state, but that somebody has deemed presentable. And it doesn't have to
Okay.
be that way.
Okay, so I'm a stylist. I'm up and coming, but I've taken some certifications. I've gotten certified by some of the big houses out there, and I want to be listed in your database because I know that your job is, I mean, your database might be the largest one in the world, but it's not complete because
No.
there's some people that aren't on there who I know cater to doing curly hair. How do I get in? How do I write you? Do I go to the website?
Mm-hmm. So we do have a link at the bottom of the website where stylists can apply to be listed. And then what we do is we look on their social media or whatsoever, or look at their reviews to see that they actually have evidence of cutting textured hair. And if they don't, then we ask them for more evidence. We'd like to see their customer testimonials, something from customers that say that you can actually cut curly hair. Do you have pictures? Do you show that? Because some stylists aren't really good at posting all of their photos of their clients.
They're busy working.
Yes, because they're busy working, which is understandable. But we want to show and to see what they might have. And some actually have certifications and they might not be completely listed, or it might be a certification where they trained with their master stylist in their salon or whatsoever. And it's not a reputable, like one that's a well-known, but that's fine also, as long as we understand that you can maintain textured hair and that you can actually style and wash and trim textured hair, then we will list you. And we just need to see some sort of evidence of that.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the site again, and I am going to put in Grand Rapids and see what comes up. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, there we go. It says for stylists in this area. Okay. All right, Grand Rapids.
Coming.
Say again.
It's coming along.
It's coming. Yeah. Yep. There's one on the Rise Salon on 29th Street. Expressions Hair Studio and the Haven Salon. So these are certified diva stylists.
Yes.
This is inspired. Okay. So, all right. Cool. This is in Caledonia. She is.
Yeah. So she is, and she's done the Diva Curl certification and she's in the product expert. So she's done 2 trainings to learn about being a product expert.
Okay. So this site can also aid me as a stylist to find others who might be a mentor, right?
Wow. You can find people that'll help you to understand. And soon we'll be offering classes to stylists also from the master stylists that work with Curly Sister. We have over 60 classes, and these are micro classes that help you to focus on learning how to just start with the basics. How do you consult? How do you talk to a person with curly hair? How do you wash? How do you cut? How do you trim? What's the difference between a cut and a trim on curly hair? Like helping them understand that, hey, if you're going to cut my curl and you're cutting my hair, when somebody says an inch, that does not mean a real inch on curly. Let me see if I'm in the camera. A real inch on curly hair, because that real inch is really what, 3, 4.
Shrinkage,
You
right?
cut it, yeah.
So here's
It's
my hair. It's not very long. Yours is significantly longer. It just, when the hair curls, it just shrinks up. It like
up.
disappears.
Yes, it's like whew. And
Mhm.
but what's interesting is to help to differentiate, like, what does that mean when you do a serious cut on someone with tight curls? You're cutting off not just 1 inch, you're cutting off several inches. So you have to understand that and understand the shape that you're taking to make sure that you're listening to your client. Or how do you detangle? That is one
Right.
of the biggest things, because I can't tell you how many times that I've been assaulted in salons because somebody's trying to detangle my hair and they don't understand how to do that.
Mhm.
They have no clue. You should never detangle a hair dry unless you want to take out hair. You should never just use like really harsh tools and be rough with it, because you'll take out somebody's hair. So there's a lot of techniques and things you should do on how you purposefully detangle somebody's hair without assaulting or just even hurting your customer, because to them it does feel like assault. And we're working on helping people to understand that. And it's a road, I would say, but so far it's been pretty fun to see the response to our trainings and what people are seeing and receiving from Curly Sister.
Okay. So we have the website if we want to find you, curlysister.com. You're also on social media. You're on Instagram. You're on Facebook. Where else? Twitter.
Twitter,
Okay.
and
So
I'm
we
on TikTok, but still developing, but on TikTok.
everybody's developing. Everybody's developing because technology, I mean, we're constantly learning, right? So
Mhm.
personally, I don't take the learning stages in anyone's venture personally. I'm like, okay, they're doing what they can and let's live with it. I just
Mhm.
appreciate it. Um,
Mhm.
so and I recall you mentioned something about this, is just a side note. I recall when I used to get a perm years and years ago. I stopped maybe 10 years ago getting a perm. And for
Mhm.
the first 2 or 3 years, I couldn't get my hair to curl, like it
Right.
wouldn't coil.
Yeah.
So it snapped out. And now I got coils with little water, a little hair product, and it'll coil
Mhm.
up. But for years it would like have straight pieces that would just go straight. And I was like, that is so weird. It looks like perm was left in my hair. And
Yeah. Well,
clearly,
the
because I
damage.
cut all
It
my hair
shouldn't.
off. So
Yeah, you had to do that. And what's interesting is that damage can be caused from many things. It can be caused from relaxers. It can be caused from straightening systems, like the Brazilian blowout,
mhm,
the Asian straightening system, things like that. It can be caused from heat, just from pressing and flat ironing your hair. Um,
mhm,
and this is one of our master stylists. He spoke about this, and he basically says, imagine if you have a flat iron and you flat iron hair, and
mhm,
that flat iron is maybe about 350, 400 degrees.
mhm,
So it depends on how high you have the setting, of course. And so say it's 350. You apply that onto that strip of hair. You take it and you apply it down the whole strip of hair. So it's being heated to 350 degrees. And heat damage, I believe, is at around 450 degrees. If you do it one more time, which a lot of people do, they don't just do one time, they do 2 times to
2
get
or
it
3
nice and
passes.
bone straight.
Yes. Mhm.
You're trying to get it bone straight. You do it that second time. Now you're at that 350 mark, and maybe the heat dissipated a little bit, but it doesn't go away that long. So you added on another 350 degrees. So say you've lost 100 degrees, so it's 600 degrees now.
Got
That's
it.
heat damage. And
And
now
I
you've got
know it would be so hot it would burn it would burn your fingerprints off.
yes, it burned your
And a lot of
fingers,
us
it
have
burned your
stories.
skin. All of us have been burned. I've had mini burns all over on the back of my neck, on my scalp, on my
Oh
front of
yeah.
my head.
Wow.
So, but heat damage is not reversible. You can do things maybe that can bring a little bit of curl back. Chemical damage, same. It's not reversible. It just has to grow out. It grows
Wow.
out and you cut it off.
And people don't understand, I'm not going to get political and not going to get into trends and society, but people don't always understand when we are wearing curly hair and not always flat ironed or straight. It's not always about looks. Sometimes it's about health.
It is about health. And I agree. It's about both. And maybe sometimes it's about mental health
Mm-hmm.
too. But I think sometimes it's always like before I felt like I was putting on a mask and not being my authentic self and who I was. And like even I mentioned earlier when we were talking before, just about a poem that I had that when I was a kid, I used to have this crazy dream that somebody was always trying to tame my hair. And I dreamt that somebody was chasing me in my dream and trying to chop off my hair. It's a crazy dream. But when I was a kid, I used to have this dream all the time because my hair was much longer and was not, my curls would be brushed out. And when you brush out curls, it's bigger. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I always had this dream that somebody was trying to tame it. So I always felt, even when I was older, that I had to be someone else when I left the house. And now I can be myself because this is who I am. And this is how my hair naturally grows out of my head. And it's okay for me to come outside like this because I've I'm putting my best self forward, and this is truly me and truly my best self instead of me covering my hair all the time or either with wigs or weaves, which are perfectly fine. But if that's my only alternative, then there's a problem. And
Right.
straightening my hair only all the time, where I would never wear it out ever until I figured this out. And that's a thing because you
Wow.
feel like you present yourself a certain way. And I believe a lot of women have gone through that, especially during the pandemic when we had to figure out how to live a different way and you couldn't go to the beauty salons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was crazy when you couldn't figure that out and you had to figure out what to do. Like, do I just put two pigtails on my, you
Right.
know?
We we
Yeah.
had, we had some interesting hair days during the pandemic. Couldn't get a
Yeah.
haircut. Couldn't
Yeah.
yeah. Couldn't get a decent style. Mm-mm.
Couldn't
So
get color.
oh
Like
no. Mm-mm. I've been
any
doing
of that.
my own color, but I can't say that I do it well. It's just that I'm impatient. If I wake up at midnight and decide I want color, I want it right now.
Right this moment. I
Right now.
understand.
So my girl, she understands me. She's like, okay, that's my weird client that comes in. So I
But
want to just
sentiment.
before we get out of here, I just want to say that one benefit right now you have monetized your venture, and that's nice, and it's starting and it's going well. But this directory is free for us at this point, right?
Yes, it is.
It's free
It's free
for
because I
the
want people to
would-be
understand
client
what it means. Hmm.
and as well as the stylist. Like you can have your directory on there if you prove yourself worthy. Like I do curly hair. You can have a listing for free.
For free.
So yeah, so those of us who want a listing on the largest database in the world for doing curly hair, we gotta chime into curlysister.com. That's just the way it is. And I appreciate you because um I don't know if anyone has even tried. Is there another database out there? But it's so needed because there's going to be people who will say, I need somebody who can say, I definitely know how to cut curls.
Yeah. I mean, and there's many databases, but the goal with Curly Sister was to be able to find the real people because sometimes there are real people and sometimes there are people like if I did a search right now that said curly hair stylist in my area on whatever search platform you use,
Mhm.
you'll have about 50 in your area that actually don't do your hair, that aren't, that they just might have, oh, they curled my hair, meaning
Mhm.
they curled it with a heat source of, like
Oh,
a curling
uh-huh.
iron or something. But you won't get stylists that are actually able to do curly hair and to do a wash and go or a wash and set or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
But they don't have people that can maintain their hair, your hair, especially if it's beyond a certain thickness in any way, shape, or form in its natural state. And that's what my goal was to clarify, to say, I'm not just going to send you to Google or to Bing or to whatever search
Mhm.
platform that you use to be able to find a stylist, because it just doesn't work.
Right.
And it's not useful for someone like myself or yourself. If you are in another city and you need to get a trim, I would not recommend that you would just go to anyone, because it would be bad and it'll end up pretty bad and everybody will be sad. And that's not going to work out for
That's
people
not
with
gonna
curly.
work out. I got you. And there's a
Yeah.
benefit also of listing in the directory, and we get a free downloaded. What is the free book that we got? I haven't gotten. It's an ebook, isn't it?
Yes, you have an ebook. You also have an ebook just to help you understand what are different types of styles. How do you style your hair? How do you wash? Because people have asked me a lot, how should I wash my hair? And I give them guidelines to say, sure, you can follow different methodologies. Like
Mhm.
the curly go method is a big method that a lot of people follow. And then people have deviated from that also, to say that things have evolved. And that's the whole point that I'm trying to cover here, to say so many people have created these different methods or techniques or whatsoever. And my goal is to marry all of this, to say, I know there's 1,000 things out there. There are things you should be doing and there's things you shouldn't. Like, you shouldn't be doing these crazy challenges where you're trying to use dish soap or some other random thing to make your hair curly or to wash your hair to clarify or things like that. Use proper shampoo, use proper conditioner, wash your hair, um, and find the right products that work for you that meet your price point. And that's the goal of it. So I give you a wash calendar, I give you an ebook that helps to tell you about these different techniques. And there's several articles on Curly Sister too, like to help you understand the basics of just everyday life. How do I dry? How do I go swimming? What are some of the things that I should work on in that respect of, like, how do I live a normal life? And also the goal of Curly Sister is to not have it be like, for myself, it was a long experience. It was a long road of getting to where I'm at. And my goal is to get not have that for you or for anybody, to say,
Right.
if you come to Curly Sister, I want to help you to be able to make this a very quick experience, that you're able to find products. And because that was a big problem for people for a long time, I can't find the right products. But
Mhm.
the secret is, there is no right product, but there is a right product. Everything works. It just might not work how you want it to work. Or maybe the technique you were doing wasn't actually right for your hair type.
Right.
Like now, the technique that I do, I can pretty much use anything, but my results will be different. Like maybe if I use too much gel, my hair will be a bit more crunchy and I have a harder cast. Or if I use mousse only, then my hair will be really big. And that's okay if that's what I'm looking for. Or if I use something that I haven't really locked in the moisture,
Mhm.
like it's not a proper mousse, it's not a proper gel, then that my hair will be more of an afro, which is fine too. But I understand that and I understand what the product is. And it doesn't bother me when I am in this strange state of in between an afro and curly, because then I embrace it. I'm like, all right, let's fluff it out. I'll put on some earrings and some lipstick and rock it up. Okay, I'm here. Hi, and it's
Got you.
okay. My hair's going to be big today.
Got you. All right, Phoebe. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your contribution, and I'm gonna put in my zip code to best curly hair salons, and that's what it says, Stylist, and
Salons
get
and
into
style.
that large database and find out where I can find a curly girl. I really don't need one because I do have my girl here in Grand Rapids, but she doesn't cut this for me. So anyway, that's another topic until it's time to cut the curls again, every 3 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I appreciate you. I'm rambling now and I don't want to do that. So I appreciate you for talking to us, educating, and thank you for the database. And it is free for stylists. Go to the website, get yourself hooked up, get yourself on the website and start getting more clients.
Yes, and find a stylist for
Right.
individuals too. We
Yeah,
want everybody to be able to find a stylist and live their best curly life.
right. So,
Mhm.
okay. And thanks again. Thank you for watching Passion Speak, and we'll see you next week.